Okay, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. So thank you for coming to our event. My name is Viktor Neustroev. I'm a FIDE master, but that's not why I'm here. I'm here because I'm a practicing coach. So this is what I do every day for more than 20 years. And right now I've been training students from 20 different countries, starting from their first tournaments to the events like these, the Cadet World Championship. And the kids that participate in the tournament here in Batumi are exactly the kids that I work, so they are of the same level. So everything I'm going to share today doesn't come from a textbook or so, it comes from the board, it comes from the real tournaments, real games, real students. Well, of course, including their tears after a tough loss. And that's our topic for today. So not how to win, but how to recover when they lose their games. Because at these levels of chess, what decides a tournament is not just a very best move, like not a beautiful combination. It's how a young player handles the worst moment, the moment where he loses the game. And first, before we start, before I explain how to deal with it, let me start with my own story. So it also happened to me. I don't actually remember much about my old experience when I was a kid, but I definitely remember the year 2002 when I was 17. I was about 2150, and I was playing the championship of my city's chess club, and I was leading in the tournament. I remember it was round 6. I was paired against the top seed player. He was rated 2300. He was my direct rival. I got a winning position in our game, and then I got to time trouble. That days there was no increment, so I had only 30 seconds left, and so I missed a checkmate in 1. So I don't win with this mating combination, and then I lost the game because overall my position was worse. I was mainly hoping on the attack, and I missed checkmate in 1, being in time trouble. Well, can you imagine, so for a player at candidate master level that I was at that time, missing checkmate in 1 is not just unlucky, it's a real failure. And it crushed me. Because not because it was checkmate in 1, but because just beating this exact opponent would have almost guaranteed me the first place. Instead, I handed him the game. But here is what matters. The next day, I came back to the board and I won. And I kept winning games. The tournament was long. It consisted of 11 rounds. But that's my rival, that opponent, that 2300 rated player, he was like losing some games, then he was making draws. And after 11 rounds, I finished half a point ahead of him. So I became a champion even with 1 game lost. That loss didn't decide the tournament to me, but my response to that loss decided the tournament. This is the whole idea of my presentation of this talk. That was my experience. So now let's take a look at the next slide. And this is a recent experience of one of my students. So she is one of the strongest players of her age in Hong Kong, and she regularly travels to China to compete because the overall chess level in China is higher than in Hong Kong. So this time she qualified into the strongest section of the event, so she was playing against older and higher rated girls. That's tougher than usual. And this is exactly what kids, she's 10 years, so at this age need. So this is that kind of challenge that should push a young player forward. So it should have been a great experience. But now look at what happened. So she lost her first 2 rounds. And after those 2 losses, her level of chess just collapsed. She finished the tournament with 1.5 points of 8. Now, here is the thing. So I went through all her games carefully afterwards. And I can tell you that even online, even with 15 plus 10 time control, she normally plays far stronger than this. Well, we analyzed the games, and based on the actual positions that he had, she could have scored 4 or 4.5 or so. So that's a huge gap of 3 points. 4 or 4.5 would be a really good result for her, because that tournament is much tougher than she usually plays. So what happened in between? So why there was such a gap? It wasn't something that she just forgot how to play chess. No. The gap wasn't the skill, it was a spirit. So these 2 losses in the very beginning of the tournament, and this 10-year girl couldn't find her way back. So this is the problem that we are going to try to solve today. I'm going to provide you with several tips, and implementing which I think you can teach your kids to recover faster and play as strong as they can, even after losses. So, first of all, why young players are so vulnerable to losses? Why does a loss hit children so much harder than adults? So there are 3 reasons of it. The first one is, of course, bigger emotions. A loss hits a child hard and it lingers. So this disappointment floods everything else out. Second, of course, there is a less of a self-control. So the ability to calm yourself down and refocus is such a skill that at the age of 8, 10 or 12 years is only developing. So we cannot expect them to be professionals about their losses. So we cannot treat the kids that we work and the kids that you are parents of to be chess professionals. They are not grandmasters. They don't have such a great experience, and they are just not so ready emotionally. And the third one, so this is the most expensive one, because one loss bleeds into the next game, which may also result in a loss. Why it happens? Because a child, even sometimes doesn't understanding it, carries this previous game experience to the board when the next round starts, and it may cost him a second point. And this is what exactly happened in my student's example. This is how 1.5. This is how he scored 1.5 instead of 4 or 4.5. First of all, before I provide with concrete tips. Before we fix anything, let me reframe something, especially for parents at our event. When your child is upset after a loss, this is not a bad sign. Moreover, it's a good sign. Being upset means that they care. It means that they have a goal, that the result matters to them. And that hurt feeling is just a motivation. It's a sign that your kid has an ambition. It's not a weakness. If the situation would be opposite, everything would be much worse. So a child who feels nothing about a loss, and that's the one that should worry us. It might mean that they don't really care about the game or the result or the tournament at all. So what we are trying to do, we are not trying to make them stop caring. So don't tell your kids, like, forget about it. No, don't tell it. The job of a parent and partly the coach is to help them live through the loss and reset for the next game. So here how we can do it. So 5 ways to bounce back from a loss. 5 practical things for the player and for the parent. Number 1, don't blame yourself. So for the player, what does it mean? Mistakes don't destroy you. They just show you what you need to work on, what you need to fix. So blaming yourself only adds fear, and this fear works into the next game and may affect the result of the next game too. For the parent and the coach, one important thing. Zero criticism right after the game. Well, nothing like how could you lose? How could you play such a move? No, no. First, like for a parent, a hug, then give your kid some water, some food. The analysis of the game can wait until later. So right after a loss, the child doesn't need a prosecutor. They need a parent. The second tip, so talk it through. What does it mean? It means that if for a player, share this game with someone, because a loss split among a few people is lighter. And actually, from this conversation, you can learn something. For the adult, just be a calm sounding board, not a prosecutor. So, well, you may ask questions when your kid explains how he played the game, but ask something like, what did you see in that position? Instead, why did you do that move? Why didn't you see that move? So like, because it's the same game, but such a question provides your kid with a completely different feeling. So for example, a question, what did you see in this position? Opens them up, and the question, why did you do that? Shuts them down. Okay, so number 3, in my opinion, this is the most important one. Switch off and recover. So for a player, it means that do something that breaks the spiral. So what? A work, some sport activity, music, a book, a favorite game, of course, if you have time between rounds. Let your head reset before the next round starts. For an adult, for a parent, try to protect that break. Don't fill the time between rounds with more chess. And please don't replay the loss over lunch, because the brain needs to come down before it can come back up. Number 4, so reflect, but reflect the right way and later, not during the tournament. So for the player, once the emotion settles, ask the real question. Why did I actually lose? It's almost never just I'm bad at chess. It's something specific. Maybe the plan was wrong. Maybe you didn't evaluate the position properly. Maybe you didn't understand the position. Maybe you underestimated your opponent's capabilities. Or maybe there was just a miscalculation. The task is to name the real cause of a loss. And here's the most important part, because every one of these causes has a solution, and every can be trained. Anything, a wrong plan, a positional misunderstanding, underestimating their opponent, like miscalculation, and each of these causes points a different fix. So the task is to work out which one it was, and then you should try to build that exact skill that fixes it. But this is the coach's job. And why I suggest doing it? Because this is how a painful loss turns into one clear lesson. So you learn from your mistakes, from your real mistakes at the tournament. This is probably the most important, because at the tournaments, kids are trying to do their best. And for a coach, understanding which mistakes their student may make during the tournament is the most important thing. It gives like a clear understanding of what needs to be fixed and how exactly a coach should work with such a student. Okay, so, and the fifth thing, number 5, reset and believe. For a player, so start the next game from 0. Don't look back. That game that you lost was over, so nothing can change it. Now, this is the next game, so show what you can do in this one. For a parent, so send them to the game with a fresh, confident frame. Not like you must win this exact game. Not like you must win because you need to compensate it. You just lost the game. Now, if you lose the second one, it's over. No. Just keep your kid in a clean state. So tell them, play your game. Well, such a mindset helps to turn a bad start into a good tournament. So myself, I remember a lot of tournaments where I lost the first game, but performed well. I remember actually one game I lost to an unknown chess player who later became a GM, but I was completely winning. So I lost that single game, but won all others. There were 9 rounds. I lost the first one, but recovered and and won the rest of my games. I was like 9 or so at that time. Fine. So the next slide is a pre-game reset checklist. So let's make things concrete. Here is a 5-point checklist that the player can run before the next round starts. You can take a photo of this slide, because, it may help you. You can just show it to your kid, and together you can go through it, especially if the game he or she played before was a losing game. So the body first. What does it mean? So eat, drink, drink, of course, eat if you want. 5 minutes away from the board, fresh air is recommended, because a tired or a hungry kid is never confident. What else to remember? So they should understand, or you should try to explain, that the last game is over, it's closed. The new game starts, the position is equal. So try to keep them in a clean state. Now the third checkpoint is one anchor of strength, not 5 anchors, just one. You should, or your kid should, name one thing that he or she are good at. So, for example, I'm good in calculation. So let your kid say that. I'm good in calculation, if he's really good in calculation. If not, then, for example, it can be, I know my opening really well, let's say. Or what else? I have a good tactical vision. I can calculate some tactical ideas once they occur in the game. One anchor of a strength. And let them play that opening that they trust. And of course, it should be something really solid and competitive. But I'm sure that your kids, who came to the World Championship, they of course play relatively strong openings. Fine. The checkpoint number 4, a process goal, not a result goal. So it shouldn't be not like I must win, because you cannot, a chess player cannot control it. So he cannot win every single game, and he cannot say that the next game will be a winning game for sure. But you can rephrase it and make it a process. For example, I can check my opponent's threats after every move. This goal gives a player a control of what's going on the board, a feeling of control. But just saying I must win doesn't do anything. What else? So the body leads the mind. So sit up, breathe slowly, calm eyes. And then act confidently. And then brain starts to believe you. Fine. What else? That was like an emergency checklist. It's only for the day of the event when the round starts. But real confidence isn't built in 30 seconds before the game. It's built over months. So between tournaments, praise the process. So not only the result, but effort, fighting spirit, good decisions. If your kid is young, you can even keep a good moves notebook, like collect their best moves and their best wins. So when, for example, your opponent loses, you have a proof how strong he was. I met a similar situation when I was playing and I was about to get a FIDE Master title. So I played really strong in 2 tournaments. I overcame 2300 FIDE. And then I came to the tournament to my hometown, and So I didn't perform well. I just hadn't no motivation. And the GM that I was working at that moment told me that, well, look at your games. Look at how you drew against, like, how you defeated, for example, Volodar Murzin. I defeated him once. How I drew against GM Mitchell Krasinkov. So all these players that I competitively play would defeat everyone at my local tournaments in my hometown. So that's why having in mind these games that were played really well help a lot to normalize the performance. So, and what else? Also normalize losses. Every strong player loses, even Magnus Carlsen. It's not a catastrophe. And having losses in your career is, this stops you being frightening of losses. Of course, everyone loses, and you just cannot win trophies without any losses. It's impossible. So your kid should understand it. I'll try to explain him. Okay. Well, if you forget everything else that we were discussing here and that I was trying to reveal, remember just one thing. Talent gets your kid to the tournament, but recovery gets them the title. So this skill of bouncing back from a tough loss is not a soft skill, especially for a young player. And it may cost a few points on a tournament table. I mean, on the scoreboard. And sometimes the difference can be as huge as from 1.5 to 4.5. Okay, fine. So we are done with the main part. Thank you for your attention. So if you have any questions, you're welcome. Also, if, for example, you don't have time to ask some questions that you are interested in, you can come to one of my regular workshops. I do it for free every Sunday and ask your question there.
Thank you, Viktor. Dear parents, coaches, have you any questions? Okay. We have a question from the audience.
Good afternoon. Dear Victor, when a player has a high online rating like 2400, but a much lower official FIDE rating, they often experience anxiety when playing over the board against lower rated opponents who are actually really dangerous. What specific psychological techniques do you recommend to maintain a cold mind and avoid underestimating or fearing such opponents?
Okay, that's a good question. So when a student has a high online rating but struggles playing again over the board, well, there can be several reasons, but one can be maybe the student is not so familiar with physical chess set and with a physical board, because the strength differs. For example, I, with my experience, can play equally online with electronic diagram and over the board. However, some of my students play online better because they are more get used to electronic diagrams. So if this is the case, then more practice with chess, with a physical chess set is required. However, maybe that's not the reason of a bad performance against lower rated players. So here I think the main problem is underestimation. So well, if this lower rated player came to the tournament, he is there because he also wants to win. So and most likely a kid with higher online rating may treat it like, okay, I'm gonna defeat him. He is just a lower rated player. But this attitude does a very, very bad job. Instead, well, you can fix it if you, for example, teach your kid to treat his opponent's moves as it was someone really strong played it. So when I play the game, I always expect what would someone really strong. Like, I admire Garry Kasparov. So for me, he's the best chess player over times. And I would ask myself, well, what would Garry Kasparov played in this position after I play this or that. So maybe the problem is that they just think that, well, this is a lower rated kid, so he makes a mistake. Let me just play this move. And they do not predict a strong response. That may be the problem. So this is like, always teach them to think what would a strong player respond, or what would they respond if they were in their shoes, in the shoes of their opponents. This is what I mean.
Thank you very much for such a long and open answer. I really appreciate it, and I really hope that your answers will inspire many young players to improve, and not only the game, but also their psychology aspects. Thank you.
We have another question.
Hi, Victor. Thank you so much for the talk. I really appreciate your point that recovery is the key. And for young players, you know, when they have a couple bad tournaments, they tend to think they are terrible. They no longer can, you know, win future championship. So do you have any advice for young players how to recover from bad tournaments? And sometimes the setback can last a few months or even a year or 2 years. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for the question. It's a really good one. So when it is a series of losses, not just one loss, but a series of bad tournaments, well, that's tough. That may actually signal that your student or your kid is burned out. And they no longer believe it. So from our presentation, one suggestion was to collect their best moves, their best games, to show them at a certain moment. I was working with an adult who had similar issues. He thought that he is terrible in chess and so on. And once I showed one of his game, like he didn't recognize it. I remember it, but he didn't recognize it was his game, where he was actually playing really well. And that helped me to persuade him that he is not bad and he has a very good potential. So he kept working on it. Well, as for the kids, when it is several losses in the tournament or several tournaments are played badly, I recommend to switch to something. It doesn't mean that your kid should stay away from chess trainings. But if one of his interests is something else, for example, like playing football, like drawing, music, let him do this activity a lot. So to switch from chess to that, but not forever. So keep doing chess training. Just stay aside from the tournaments. Maybe that inspires his or her interest to chess again. But in my opinion, the best way is just to show them how good how good games that they played before. That can inspire. I also have an answer for the question how to keep students' motivation. So I don't know if anybody is interested. So this is the question that was in the list. So for example, you think that, well, you know that kids sometimes tend to lose motivation. Well, girls at the age of 11, 12, with boys, it's better. What does it mean? How to fix it? So actually, for girls, it's better to have real achievements before the age of 11 or 12, because that makes them hunger to keep winning. So they want to win, to get more trophies. These can be even local trophies. That's fine. But they should see this, so that they performed well, that they won some real trophies, and they like such a feeling of winning trophies when they are awarded, for example. For boys, it's easier, but the recommendation is pretty much the same. But there is one more recommendation that I think many do not follow. If it is possible, travel to play. So, for example, if there are tournaments in different areas, in different towns and countries, and if you have such an opportunity, travel to them. Because every time when your kid goes to a new town, to a tournament, together with a new tournament experience, they get like an adventurer. New places, new friends, new experience, so newer emotions. And this is how you can make chess attractive to them, even if they do not perform well at the tournaments.
Thank you for your response. We have another question from the audience.
Yes, thank you for a great talk. You talk a lot about the recovery during a tournament. I guess during a long tournament like this one in Batumi, it's also important to preserve the energy of the player, of the young player. We are here for almost 2 weeks. So my question would be, how would you best spend the players' time during a long tournament like this? How much time should they use on preparation for the games and analysis versus just rest and fun activities to recover and get them into a fresh mindset for the next day?
Okay, so it's a very good question, how to spend time for preparation and rest if the tournament is so long. Well, first of all, it depends on the specific child, because every child may need different amount of time devoted to chess before the round or after the game. However, what I would recommend after the game, analyze it. Not immediately, but like after a lunch, after some rest, analyze it. Spend like maybe how many for one game? 30, 40 minutes. And before the game, maybe about 1 hour to go through the openings, that their potential opponent may play. So 1 hour before the game and analysis after the game, maybe 30, 40 minutes. Because the main job should be done before the tournament. So you cannot do all job just during the event. So that's why not much. A lot of time should be spent to rest. So how much is it? If it's 2 games per day, then about 3-4 hours as a preparation. The rest should be devoted to the rest.
Okay, thank you. Do we have another questions? I have 2 questions. They're not too connected, but you have worked with young players from more than 20 countries, which is very impressive. And first question is, what qualities do the most successful children usually have in common? Maybe here is some correlation between these characteristics. And the second question is, can you share, maybe you had some extraordinary experience when one of your students made an exceptional progress?
Let me answer this question. So, first of all, the kids are always different, and the coach's task is to adapt his training methodology to this specific student. And what the most successful children usually have in common? Well, first of all, they all love the game a lot. For example, I often see that children who succeeded have a strong desire to play chess, to train chess, to do anything connected to chess. And the second skill, or the second thing they have in common, is a focus. So they can stay with one game or even with one position for a long time without losing interest. So these are important signs to spot. If, for example, you see that your kid runs to play chess on his own, or looks for the next chess lesson, or spends free time with chess, then it's great. So then they have a chance to succeed. in chess. So, but if you see that you have to push your kids to go to a chess training, or or like you see that your opponent refuses doing any chess activities, refusing doing puzzles, that is another important sign, and that sign tells you that, well, you need to work on motivation to keep your kid successful. Okay, so, well, actually, so do you always have to push a kid to train chess? Well, usually the answer is no. But I have a few counter examples. I know a GM, he's a GM now, but I know that his father was pushing him to learn chess at age of 5 and 6. Before this exact kid, now a grandmaster, started loving chess himself. And after that, he was really working hard. He was not like a very talented person, but he got a grandmaster title. He was once a rapid Russian champion, and his rating was over 2600 at a certain moment. But he did it because of hard work. So if you think that a chess player needs talent to become successful, absolutely not. Some talent is required, but well, partially it can be compensated with hard work. Okay, and now the story of my students who showed some extraordinary success. Well, there are some. Well, I would like to tell the one about my student from the UK. So we started when he was around maybe 12 or 1300 or so. And for the first few years, his progress was really slow, like 100 points or maybe 150 of rating, so very slowly. And everything changes when I adjusted our training process. So two things were important for his exact case. First, he started playing more rapid games. And it is important that he really enjoyed playing rapid games. And the second is that we changed his openings. So he struggled with open positions, he could hardly remember the move order. So we switched to closed positions, where the exact move order doesn't matter so much, where it's like understanding the position matters more. And that really helped. So in just 1 year, he gained 500 points. So now he's around 2100 FIDE. So, yeah, what I wanted to tell you that what can contribute is a training approach. It's a training method. It's not something simple, but every kid needs a personal training plan based on his strengths and his weaknesses. No, this is a coach's job, so if you have a few coaches, you probably know already that.
Yeah, maybe any volunteer? Okay, we have a question from the audience.
Victor, many young players have huge pressure from their families and society, combining 6-7 hours of chess with intense school exams. How can a player psychologically separate chess from external life stress so they don't burn out before important tournaments?
Well, it's a tough question, and to be honest, I don't know. I mean, it's really hard. Yeah, I know. Well, I don't know because, well, some of my students, when they have serious exams, they just stop training chess for 2 weeks during the period of exams. This is how they can eliminate or maybe decrease stress that they get. So, well, the other student, for example, this the UK boy that I was just telling you about, he also he also had to pass exams, and during that period he stopped doing training, chess training. So I don't know how to combine these things because it's a lot of stress and it's a lot of hard work. How you can try to go through it? keep chess as entertainment. For example, do not provide a kid with, during the period of exams, do not provide the kid with too many difficult activities. Let him enjoy chess. So let him play a few rapid games. Let him do a couple of puzzles. So that he enjoys the process. This is how he gets distracted from the stress that he gets because of exams.
Yeah, understandable. Thank you, because I'm totally in this situation right now. I'm having exams in 2 weeks, and I'm trying to combine chess with my studies, exams, etc. So thank you for such an answer, because I believe that's a very typical situation for players who are going to graduate from school, university, and at the same time they're trying to achieve as many goals as they can, so to achieve some sort of title or to win the tournament. So yeah, I believe that's a really big problem for many chess players. And so thank you very much. I really appreciate this long answer from you.
Thank you for the question. Maybe another volunteer. Okay, I have a question related to the case you mentioned about the father who was involved in the case with your grandmaster student. What role should parents play in a young player's chess career? And maybe here is a moment when parents should avoid being too involved into the chess career of their kids.
Okay, yeah, that's an important question, and many parents misunderstand it. Well, first of all, when you see, if you play chess, and once you see that your kid is stronger than you in chess, stop giving him chess advice. So, if you don't play chess, it's even better for your kid, because you don't have a desire to provide him with advice which maybe isn't a good advice. So a coach should provide a student with advice. So don't suggest chess if you are not a strong chess player. There are two jobs that a parent should do. First, bring your kid to the tournament. So help with accommodation, help with other things. So come with your kid to the tournament. And the second important thing is to be in contact with a coach. And from time to time, you can ask your coach, your son's or daughter's coach, what can I do to help? And very often the answer is please help me to work on his or her motivation. So this is how you should think. So usually, once your kid turns 12, you should step back. You shouldn't interfere any of his chess activities. Maybe just bring him to the tournaments if it is in a different country, for example. But I know that nowadays it's very common, even not nowadays, but if it is possible that your kid comes to the tournament together with a coach, it's always better than together with a parent. However, because of the internet, you can come with your kid too, and he will study chess during the tournament with the coach online. So that's actually possible too, and many of my students do the exact way. So they come to the tournament with parents, and I just help them to analyze the games, to prepare for a strong opponent, and so on, online. So actually you're doing two jobs, accommodating during the tournament, and then you keep in contact with the coach. So until the age of 12, then no, that's not required. Also there is one more thing important. So for example, there are a lot of chess online nowadays. So even I do workshops on some days. So there are some master classes, some other events, webinars, everything. And you may think that this is exactly what your kid needs at the moment. So, and you may push him to participate there. So please don't make such a mistake. If you want your kid to participate in any online events, first create a list of these events and send them to the coach and ask him, so which of these events you think my kid should participate in online? And the coach just goes through the links and decide, okay, so this is Jan talking about French defense, let's say. Okay, yes, the key should go there. And this is like a FIDE master talking about routine games. Well, yes, it should be, but this is like a 1800 rated player talking about opening traps. No, let's avoid it. So your coach knows better what your kid needs. So this is how you can choose which exact course or which exact online event your kid should participate in.
Okay, thank you for the answer. And do you have a question? Okay. I have the last question. If you were advising a parent and the coach, what your long-term plan would look like for a talented 8 years old kid, for example?
Okay, so a kind of a roadmap. Fine. So first of all, at a young age, like 5, 6, maybe until 8, usually such chess players, young chess players, show some outstanding calculation skills, and they often can recognize tactics. So keep working on these skills, on tactical skill, on calculation, but don't limit to it. Try to figure out like weak spots in their play and try to fix it. Here, at this age, like maybe until 8 or until 9, the key idea is to train that skills that the kid already does well as work on the weaknesses, but that's the second step. However, the key is pieces coordination. So try to help your kids to understand how pieces interact with each other. So how make the position harmonical so that all pieces can participate and perform one specific function that the position requires. So this is at the age under 8. Then at the age of 9, 11, well, a coach should coach, and of course a kid should work on the openings that fit his playing style, as well as on positional play and endgames. At this period, the recommendation is to play more and win tournaments, especially local ones, to improve the motivation, of course. Also to improve the motivation. And starting from 11, 12, you can, well, the vast majority, but many may already get some titles, even the candidate master title, which is really easy. I mean, it's much easier than the other titles. You just need to be 2200 rated, or you can achieve a candidate master title, winning or getting sometimes the second, even the third place on some regional events. For example, in the beginning I was talking about my student. She was a champion of Hong Kong under 9 in the open section among boys and girls. She's a girl, so among boys and girls, and then she participated in Eastern Asian Championship and got the second place. And conditionally, she got a candidate master title at the age of 8. However, they told her that she officially gets the title once her rating will be over 1700, FIDE rating. Now it's unfortunately below, but I think she's gonna score it soon. So let's sum it up. So before 8, work on what your student does well and tell him or explain how pieces coordinate. So work on pieces coordination. From 9 to 11, work on openings, positional playing and games, and then play more. And then look for titles. Choose that tournaments where you can get enough playing experience and where you can potentially get titles. And like at this third stage, the role of the parents is just supporting. The coach does the main job, so the coach leads the process. And of course, so doing this doesn't guarantee anything, but doing it that way increases chances of your child being involved in chess seriously and him or her achieving real titles.
Viktor, thank you for this excellent session, very practical and insightful, since every participant can implement all of this information right now after the masterclass. And let's give a warm round of applause for our speaker.